Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode.
Mongrel on mongrel!
You just blew out my eardrum.
I'm already out.
You just blew out my eardrum.
All of the cracking.
Welcome to Jupiter's CROCK. Today, we finally delve into the episode that we all felt for the past, 6 or 7 episodes that we've done this. We all felt like this is the one. This is the one where it starts getting good. The Thing in the Pit. Does it hold up to our memories of it? If we saw this today, brand new, would we be into Spartacus or would we just check out? We're going to find out tonight. Ronan, what are your remembrances of The Thing in the Pit before we get into it? How do you remember this episode?
You mean from my first time watching it?
Yeah.
I have no memory of my first time watching
Okay,
this
forget.
episode.
Okay, you stop talking. Steve, your memories of watching The Thing in the Pit the first time.
Oh, I loved it. I was told to pretty much suffer. And this is Matt telling me this. Matt told me, you kind of got to just deal with episodes 1, 2, and 3. But then episode 4 is what's going to get you, and you were absolutely correct. Episode 4 is fantastic, and it still holds up today.
And that's the episode. Thank you for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week. Well, let's get into this. Spartacus, tell us, how does The Thing in the Pit get going?
Oh, God, this is going to be tough, because now I'm actually doing something in addition to talking.
You were the one. You just said you wanted us to do poker.
Yep. You
did. I did. I mean, it doesn't mean it's not going to be difficult.
Continue.
Why do we have Ronan on this show? So it starts with Badiatus pretty much recognizing that he has been an idiot for constantly rescuing Spartacus. So they bring Spartacus to the edge of the cliff that Badiatus' ludus is built over. And they throw Spartacus on the ground, right on the edge of the cliff, and Badiatus is holding a sword to him, and Badiatus is basically what the fuck? And Badiatus reveals that he knows everything that Spartacus did. He knows that Spartacus fucked over Gnaeus in the last episode. He knows that Spartacus basically schemed his way into the Primus against Crixus, and Badiatus would have been fine with that if he had fucking won, but he didn't. He lost the crowd, is what Badiatus keeps telling him. The crowd was the key to everything. That was the key to Badiatus' success. And through Badiatus' success, Badiatus would have been able to find Spartacus' wife, but no, Spartacus, you fucked up. So Badiatus is just laying into him, and for whatever reason continues to not kill him. But he tells Spartacus, you're no longer a gladiator. I am going to get my return on investment out of you, because you are going to the pit. And so the next day, Spartacus and Curza, who apparently also lost a fight in the arena, but I guess got spared in execution.
Deleted scene somewhere.
Yeah, did Curza even fight last episode?
I don't remember.
I don't think it must have just been something that happened off screen. But anyways, Spartacus and Curza are going to get sent to the pit, and all of the other gladiators.
Before you get into that, you mentioned that you don't understand why Badiatus doesn't just kill Spartacus at the beginning of this, and I think the whole thing comes down to money. Because he spent so much money on Spartacus that he's like, I have to get something back for him. And this comes back, later on with the necklace, which we'll talk about, where, the necklace was really expensive and they don't get back what they needed from it. I think the same thing, that's what he's thinking. He's like, I'm just going to make as much money off him as I can before he inevitably dies in the pit.
See, I can understand that, but I also don't think it just so happened that Spartacus ended up being amazing in the arena after a little bit of training. I can't buy that Badiatus was going to make more out of the pits than he would through the actual games if he just gave the audience Spartacus's blood, which is what they wanted.
I don't know, because because the thing that you mentioned where he's pissed off at Spartacus because Spartacus kind of lost the crowd. Badiatus arguably lost the crowd by allowing him to live. in the first place. At the very end of that, because even Lucretia's like, how could you have let him live? How is that even possible?
It would have been in Badiatus's best interest to let Spartacus die, because that would mean that the crowd was impressed and happy with Badiatus's offering, which would make it more likely that he's going to get invited back for more games.
Yeah! Sorry, go ahead.
Suck a dick. Suck a
Anyways,
dick.
I stand by what I said. Badiatus is continuing 7-2 offsuit. Badiatus continues to let Spartacus live. But anyways, it's time for Spartacus to go to the pit, and Asher and Barca are like just throwing dirt and shit on him. I guess you gotta look like a pit creature to
yeah,
go
they
to
tell
the
him
pit.
they're told to prepare Spartacus for the pit, and yeah, like you said, their whole thing for how you prepare him is you just kind of pick dust up and dirt and throw it on him. It's like how is this
could have been
preparation
like, hey,
for
Spartacus,
what?
roll around in the sand for a few minutes, and it would have the same effect. But anyways, the other gladiators aside from Varro have lost any and all respect they had for Spartacus and Curza. They're constantly shit-talking them, and so while the other gladiators are still fighting, or they're training rather, Spartacus and Curza are like chained to a wall, and Curza is like incredulous. He's like, I'm not going to die in the fucking pit. I am going to fuck them all. Cut to the pit, and Curza is getting smashed in the head with a giant sledgehammer by some guy named Ixion, who is not an electric unicorn. Shout out to anyone that gets that reference. But Ixion cuts off Curza's face, and later on you see he is wearing Curza's face as a mask. And
That's a very nice Chainsaw Massacre reference.
Yeah, I will say that I think that shot, that transition from Curza to getting hit in the face with that hammer, that's probably the moment that I fell in love with the show. Because I'm like, that is so cool. I mean, he literally just stands there and wham, it's such a perfect transition.
Yeah. I also read in the trivia for this episode that the guy that plays Neas also plays Ixion, so this guy is apparently he comes back all throughout the series. Anyways, Curza is dead, and Badiatus is pissed off because he bet some money on Curza, and he instantly lost it. So now it's Spartacus's turn to get up, and Spartacus. So there's this amazing pit hype man who is like, what weapons will the gods bless them with, or curse them with empty hands? And that's when he yells "mongrel on mongrel," which is
mongrel on mongrel.
Yep,
so
great. Enjoy fixing that in post, Matt.
I'm leaving it.
So this guy is awesome, and so the two gladiators, or the two, I guess, former gladiators show up. It's the Spartacus against some guy whose name isn't worth remembering, and they don't just get to pick weapons. They instead basically draw weapons out of they pick it out of a hat. And so you never know what weapon you're going to get. And so
this chick, you're missing the point. Like, this chick comes out there, she's missing an arm, she's wearing like a weird dildo thing. She comes out with like a bucket that has like bones or something in it, and you draw from there the item that you're going to put, your weapons that you're going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, that's neat and all, but she's not important. Not important. Don't care about her. Don't even know her name. Not going to look it up. So they draw weapons, and Spartacus' opponent draws a weapon. I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically like brass knuckles with like nails sticking out of the end of it. And Spartacus draws a caestus, which is basically just the brass knuckles. He's missing the nail. And so Barca's like, Spartacus is at a disadvantage. And Badiatus just looks over at him like, no, big fucking deal. You tell me something I don't fucking know. He's so angry at this point in the episode. He's basically telling Barca, thank you, Mr. Fucking Obvious. So they go to fight, and this dude, the opponent, takes like the nail of his brass nail knuckles and like just shoves it into his mouth and just fucking digs around with this nail in his mouth and spits blood on Spartacus. So if Spartacus doesn't kill him, like the infection's going to take him out 2 or 3 weeks from now.
It's great.
But they fight. And Spartacus is immediately getting wrecked by this guy. Badiatus he's bet everything on Spartacus. He's Spartacus, you done fucked me again. But Spartacus ends up winning. He shoves there's a random like hook hanging off a chain in the arena,
'Cause
and
of course there
Spartacus
would be.
shoves the hook under the guy's neck and kills him. Thoughts? Because that's the opening of the episode, and it's great.
My thoughts are it's so awesome. It's so bloody, it's so violent, and it's done in a way, in my opinion. There's obviously CG blood in this show, but it's not the over-the-top, wildly stylistic blood in this. This feels real, and it feels like there's stakes. It feels like there's stakes immediately in this episode.
Yeah, the previous couple episodes, anytime someone bleeds, it's not just a little bit of blood or blood kind of splattering out of them. It's like someone put up a green screen behind Spartacus, and they fill the entire screen with blood. They kind of move away from that to an extent in this episode, and I think the show is better off for it. Let's see, other things that happen in the pit.
You
Ovidius.
didn't let Ronan give his thoughts.
Oh, well, I mean, there was a reason for that, but go ahead, Ronan. Grace us. Curse us with empty hands.
We have but one rule. No, so what you were saying, the art. This is about the point where the art style of the show ditches that weird thing you were talking about, from the first few seasons, where you would see a character kind of lurch forward, and then suddenly screen changes color, and there's shitty ass fake blood coming out from. This is about the point where all that shit goes away. They experimented with it.
There's still a lot of shitty fake blood in the show, but they don't fill the screen with it anymore.
Yeah, well, that more or less that particular kind of artistic style. It's they watched a few episodes of it and were no. It's okay. We committed to it in these episodes. That money is already spent. Let's not waste that money on the next few episodes.
I like that practical effect where Ixion or whatever his name, where he cuts the face or the skin off the face and pulls it off, and you just see the muscle on
what's
the
left
face
of
and
his
the
skull.
eyeballs. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. That seems like a chainsaw, a massacre reference, along with the meat hook just kind of hanging there. But at the very least, that because you do see bodies kind of hanging in this place, so I don't know why they're hanging there, but at the very least, the hook has a purpose. They hang bodies with it.
They needed to have some boobs somewhere in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to get him in here somewhere. We got the one-armed chick. We've already given her a dildo. So we'll have some other boobs hanging from the background. Just so that way people don't feel conflicted when they start jacking off. Continue, Steve.
Anyways, other shit that happens in the pit. We see Ovidius show up. Ovidius is someone that Batiatus owes money to. And the deal from previous episodes was Batiatus was supposed to pay him back plus 30% immediately after the games that concluded last episode. And of course, Batiatus doesn't have the money, and so he's blowing him off. And so we're going to see Ovidius's schemes come back later on in the episode. This is also kind of the start of, well, not the start, but this is the first time Crixus actually tries to make a move on Navia. He buys Navia a necklace, and Navia immediately shuts him down. But Navia tries to explain herself, but Crixus is like, no, fuck that. You've made your point known. We'll hear what the actual explanation is later on.
I gave it to hot ass Xena.
I gave it to Lucy Lawless. A much better return on investment.
Yep. Lucy Lawless was, summoning Crixus for some fun, and
God, she's a smoke show in this.
Yes,
series.
absolutely.
Jeez.
But Crixus is, sort of somehow he got tired of Xena. I don't know how that's possible, but he did. So he was going for Navia, but he shot his shot, and he thinks he got shut down. So he has to settle for Xena for the night. What a terrible fate that has befallen this man.
Cursed by the gods.
A moment of silence for Crixus being forced to settle for Lou. It's just a moment of silence.
Speaking of Xena, there's a scene where Batiatus informs Xena that he's going to the pit to fight, and Xena is immediately against it. But they don't have a choice; they need money. Because Xena now knows that they need more money, she's planning on selling the emerald necklace that Thea basically shit on a couple episodes ago. She's gonna go try to sell it back to the guy she brought it for, that she bought it from, against Badiatus' wishes. Badiatus is like, you're fucking Xena. I want to spoil you. I want you to have this jewelry. But she wants the money, so she tries to sell it back. And Spine Salonius shows up and tries to hit on her, tries to offer her the price that she wants for it, and also he's going to let her keep the jewelry. But Xena shuts him down and takes the offer from the jewelry merchant, which is like half of what she paid for it just a couple of days ago, I guess, in the show. So I think that's kind of the first act. Then it's time for Spartacus to go back to the pit, but he is so beaten down already from his pit fighting, it's getting to him, and so he starts hallucinating that his wife is out there, and he continues to kind of hallucinate. Sura is her name. He continues to hallucinate and see Sura throughout kind of the rest of the show. Spartacus ends up going on a winning streak. He's surviving again and again and again, and you find out from Asher that people are starting to favor Spartacus. And it hits to a point where Spartacus has a dream about Sura, and Sura tells him, you can't do this anymore, this is going to destroy you. And Spartacus decides, you know what, I'm done with this. And so he talks to Badiatus, and he tells Badiatus, my days in the pit are done. And Badiatus is like, are you shitting me? You don't get to tell me what you will or will not do. I am in charge here. But then Spartacus, after Badiatus has to tell Spartacus, speak your plain fucking words now, because I am tired of your bullshit. His patience for Spartacus has completely run out.
Even though Spartacus is making him a lot of money. There's that sequence with Asher where it's like, we've almost made as much money, all the debts are almost paid.
Yeah. And Badiatus is Badiatus very specifically says, pay everyone but Ovidius, because fuck him. But anyway, Spartacus makes a deal with Badiatus. Spartacus says, bet against me. Put all of your money on the other guy, and I will take a dive. I will let myself be killed in the pit. So you'll get all your money back. All I want is a promise that you will continue searching for my wife, even after I'm gone. And
and find her and enslave her in your Ludus.
Yes. Again, Spartacus didn't read the. He just scrolled to the bottom and clicked I agree on the terms that Badiatus was offering. But Badiatus agrees, and so Badiatus is planning on this being Spartacus's last day on Earth, essentially. What else happens before that? Vero comes to Spartacus, and there's this kind of humorous scene where Spartacus is talking to Ghost Sura while Vero is talking to Spartacus, and Spartacus starts telling Vero, I will protect you, I have to save you, and Vero's like, what the shit are you talking about?
Well, there's this really great sequence, I think it's even earlier than that, and Vero's awesome in this episode,
yes.
And this is what really makes Vero such a great character, and ultimately a tragic character, because he's such a good dude. Not only does he stand up for Spartacus when he's brought back from the pit, and they're like, he's not a gladiator anymore. So there's a whole thing where one of the gladiators like, he can't sleep here. He's not a gladiator any longer.
If he sleeps here, I'm going to kill him. He will not wake up tomorrow.
Yeah, and Vero
just stands up and doesn't even say anything. The other guy just knows to back down.
Yeah, because it's shown that Vero's badass. Vero's actually going up the hierarchy of gladiators.
Yes, there's a scene at some point in the middle of the episode where Badiatus is talking to, it might be Doctore, I don't remember who, but he tells Doctore, of everyone in my Ludus, Crixus is the only person that the crowd wants to see, and of all the new recruits that we bought recently, Vero is the only one that shows any promise. Which on one hand, it shows how great Vero is. On the other hand, they don't really say it, but it also shows how underutilized Barca is in this show. Because Barca is awesome, but he never gets to do anything.
You never see Barca do anything in he doesn't. You don't ever see him as a gladiator in any of these like either show that he's in. He never has an actual match in the arena in any show.
He has a quick scaffold match with one of the recruits in Gods of the no,
I
no, it was
don't count that.
This.
That doesn't count.
Well, what's
It was
also
totally,
interesting.
Hey, it's the only time Barca does anything.
It's what's also interesting is in the episode Legends, they go out of their way to say that Barca is a legend. So they do the whole thing where he killed 100 people in the arena, and his dad was the final person he kills. So the show itself has said how awesome Barca is, but then they never let Barca do anything.
It's the example of show, don't tell. They don't show us how badass he is. They just tell us how badass he is because this is a spoiler for a few minutes ahead. Like when they get attacked by fucking thieves, like Barca fails to actually protect Badiatus. Like he gets jumped and I think he gets beat up. He's the only one who gets hurt in the Gods of the Arena show when they go after. What was his name? Avidius and stuff. Like Barca gets beat up.
Tullius.
Yeah, Tullius.
Come on, Ronan.
That's it.
Come on.
Because Barca gets beat up then too. That's why he can't fight in the Primus. So it's like all we really see is Barca get beat up. This is where Spartacus the show fails. It fails.
And yet Barca is still awesome.
Yes,
his character is good. I'm just talking about how they failed to show us that he actually is a stone cold killer.
Yeah. We love the show, but we can criticize it where it needs criticism. And Barca is a character that should have been given so much more than what he
is. Underutilized. What else happened? There's a scene where the red RPM Ranger brings Spartacus a little bit of food and water, and then Crixus starts giving Barca shit because Crixus is like, hey, your boyfriend likes Spartacus, and Barca shuts that shit down immediately. Barca also knows that Crixus has the hots for Navia, and Barca is like, dude, are you fucking stupid? Stay away from Navia because this will not work out for you. But Crixus will not be deterred.
Oh, Barca does not know that Crixus is banging Xena, though.
No.
Does he not?
No.
I don't think so.
He doesn't know that. Because he's like, what necklace? What are you talking about? What necklace? And he's talking about it, but Barca, at this point at least, does not know that Crixus is banging Lucretia.
Yeah. There is we're talking...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we're talking so much about Barca. Barca gets a moment while they're Asher and he are preparing Spartacus for I think one of his various trips to the pit, where Asher is talking shit about how it's oh yeah, there's no fight left in you anymore, is there? He's talking shit to Spartacus, and Barca you can the Spartacus is fighting in the pit. This is a subtle little nod to let you know that he's actually kind of won Barca over a little bit. He'd never openly admit it, but he understands that Spartacus, is fucking dangerous because he bashes off Asher, telling him he saves his fury for the pits, a place where you wouldn't last a fucking moment, worm. Spartacus kind of wins over Barca a little bit. Nice slight little character moment there.
Because I think what's also interesting about that is Barca and Asher are the only ones that are the quote. I know Asher's not technically a gladiator any longer, but they are the only gladiators that are actually witnessing what Spartacus is doing in the pit, right? So when Spartacus comes back to the Ludus, all the other gladiators, Crixus, they all think it's he's. It's a huge dishonor to go to the pit. Huge dishonor. But they're kind of he's kicking some ass here. I don't know how he's kicking the ass, but he keeps coming out on top. The gods must be with him, sort of, so to speak. But one other thing about Vero that I wanted to mention real quick. What I love, he has this thing where he's trying to get Spartacus a mandrake root so that he can at least not feel pain when he's going into the pit, and Spartacus kind of refuses it and whatnot. But Vero has this really cool moment where he tells Spartacus, he's I used to go to the pit to bet, and it seems like a way where he lost a lot of the money. Part of the reason why Vero is now a gladiator is trying to pay off all these debts, partly because he went to the pit and he bet on all these people, and Vero's I have seen people go mad. Something happens to people down there when they're fighting in this kind of brutal winner-take-all thing. They kind of become feral in a way, and he sees that in Spartacus, and he's trying his best to be that grip to reality for Spartacus, but Spartacus is already like gone, right? He's just thinking of Sura and he's hallucinating about Sura. But I love that about Vero, that he's like trying to be there for his friend, and then when they take Spartacus back to the pit, he's like literally holding out the mandrake. Take the root, take it, Spartacus. I'm like, that's a good friend. That's a really good friend.
Vero was
solid
my
homie
favorite
moment
for a while he was there. All right, so I'm trying to get us to the final fight. The only other thing that happens, we talked about what Vero did, what Barca did. Navia gets like a little bit of time to do something after doing absolutely nothing through Gods of the Arena. Navia tells she tells one of the guards that, hey, Xena has summoned Crixus, and so Crixus, goes up. He thinks he's about to go, have some fun time with Xena, and Navia says, you know what, Xena didn't summon you, I did, and she starts to tell Crixus, like, hey, you bought that necklace for me, right? And Crixus says, yes, and then Navia says, well, why is it around Xena's neck? And Crixus is like, are you shitting me? You like shut me down and now you're upset I gave the necklace to Xena? But then Navia clarifies, it's like, look, I didn't want to turn down the necklace, but do you not fucking realize that if I suddenly showed up to my slave duties wearing a necklace, that Xena would have realized something was up? And Crixus is like, ah, shit, I'm an idiot. And so Navia is
future leader of the rebellion.
Yes, Navia is just like shit talking Crixus, like, you stupid motherfucker, and then Crixus just kisses her, and she's like, "Are you really are that fucking dumb? Guard, get Crixus out of here." I guess the guard like didn't think that that's a. He didn't really, go to see Xena. That was a short call. Okay, but that's it. All right, so we talked about Vero, we talked about Varka, we talked about Navia. Like, those are and Crixus. Those are like the only people that do anything of note before the final fight. So now it's final fight time. Spartacus is going to go and have this final battle. He's planning on dying, but Badiatus tells him, make it look convincing. Because we don't want people to suspect that anything illicit is going on in this underground pit fighting. But Spartacus
Lucretia's been saying it's dangerous. I'm scared that you're going to be down there.
Yeah,
and we see one.
Xena gets a pretty massive "I told you so" at this episode. But Spartacus is fighting Ixion, who is now wearing Kurza's face. And so they're fighting, and you get the feeling that Spartacus could like easily win. Like, he is constantly like just taking little pieces out of Ixion. But finally he gets knocked down, and Spartacus is like, all right, you see, at one point you see Badiatus kind of like mumble, like, not yet. You guys stay regularly good. But there's a moment where Spartacus is on the ground. He looks up at Badiatus, and Badiatus kind of gives him the nod. And Spartacus is ready to just accept his fate. But then Spartacus notices that a couple of guys are coming with daggers towards Badiatus. Spartacus has no idea who the fuck Ovidius is. He just knows that someone is about to kill Badiatus, and if Badiatus dies, Sura will never be free. And so Spartacus gets up. He quickly kills Ixion with Ixion drew two axes as weapons. He takes one, he kills Ixion, and then he fucking throws it and just daggers this dude in the back, because throwing weapons is apparently Spartacus' thing. Barca completely fails to protect Badiatus at all.
Well, he kills one of the guys. He kills one of them.
He goes overboard, and he's just like, okay, I've killed you, now I'm going to kill the fuck out of you.
Because he's like, hey man, I didn't know there were two.
Yeah, that's a pretty shitty
bodyguard
bodyguard
like, open your fucking eyes, or I'm going to cut them the fuck out.
That is not an answer
now,
you want
Spartacus
from your
has
bodyguard.
no idea. Yeah. Spartacus, he survives. He was supposed to die, so, nothing has gone right. Spartacus is alive, and Badiatus has lost all of his money, and Badiatus is injured. And so the Badiatus and Asher and Barca drag one of the killers outside. They discover that the killer, or the attempted killer, is a slave, and they notice a brand or a tattoo on the slave, and Badiatus is just fucking pissed off that someone was going to send slaves to kill him, and so he orders Asher, find out who these slaves belong to, because I'm gonna fucking get them. It seems so obvious that these are Ovidius's people, but the Badiatus doesn't connect the dots. So then we cut back to the Ludus, and Spartacus and Spartacus and Badiatus are having a talk. Prior to this, Badiatus goes to Xena, where Xena gives him the "I told you" that he absolutely deserves, and Xena's, like, why do you continue to protect Spartacus? Fucking kill this guy. He's bad news.
Yeah, she tells him, she's like, she's going to bring the
episode,
curse.
Xena.
Yeah, Spartacus is cursed, and he's going to bring the curse onto this house.
Yep. So the episode ends where it began, like right on the edge, the cliff that this loot is built on, and it's Badiatus and Spartacus and Doctore, and they're talking, and Badiatus is like, we had a deal, you were supposed to die, and you're alive. But Spartacus points out, wait, so are you, thanks to me. And so they end up coming to an agreement. Badiatus will continue to search for Spartacus's wife, and in return for Spartacus saving Badiatus' life, he will no longer fight in the pits, and Spartacus, as soon as he is healed up, will return to being a gladiator. Episode's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, this is if we're watching these sort of like in air date order, this is the first great episode of Spartacus. This is the show that really got me on board with it. I still liked the first ones, my initial watch, but this is the one that was like, okay, the storytelling is going to another level here, and yeah, I love this episode. 10 out of 10 for me. This is an amazing episode.
Yeah, this episode is so good, and it's even like future episodes make me appreciate this episode so much more, because at this moment, at the end of episode 4, Badiatus is still in charge, Spartacus is still a slave, everyone knows what the hierarchy in play here is, but you feel like it's not friendship, but there's like a mutual respect, maybe going so far as a bond between Spartacus and Badiatus at this point, which makes Badiatus' actual fucking betrayal later in the series hurt so much fucking worse.
Yeah, and I think Spartacus even thinks that, we're kind of friends, not friends, but all right, we're on good terms.
An understanding is forming, it's like there's like maybe not a friendship thing, although that definitely does bizarrely enough start to form later on in the show. But at this moment, it's just there is they finally actually understand. They have an understanding of each other at this moment in time. This is the first episode of of Spartacus the series. So as Steve said, chronologically speaking, this is the one where it's like bricks are finally being laid. A foundation is being set up that the rest of the show can build on. It's ideally you want to do that in the first 3 episodes of your show, not wait until episode 4 to start doing some groundwork. But I mean, it's whatever. It's experimental, I guess. They had to play around with the weird art style to figure out no, storytelling is what's important. So this is the moment, like as we've all mentioned, where it's like stuff starts to happen. You now the table is set, and now things are going to get good in future episodes.
Yeah, because backstory's out of the way, right? We don't need to see where Spartacus came from and all where all these characters are at. Now we can get into the nitty gritty of it. Though I will say, even though I agree with you guys that the first 3 episodes are not the greatest, I still think they, with maybe the exception of the first episode, I still think episodes 2 and 3 are important to laying that foundation and that stuff that we love later on. I don't think you could have just jumped into this. If I told someone right now, like, okay, watch Spartacus, start with episode 4, I think if they started with episode 4, they'd be lost. They wouldn't know who Ilithia is when she pops up. They wouldn't know, who the big villains are. They wouldn't know any of that stuff. So I think you need to kind of get through a lot of that backstory to get to this, and this is kind of like your sprinting off point. I think if they would have, I agree with you, Steve. I think you said maybe last week if they would have taken the first 3 episodes and condensed it into maybe
give me a 75-minute mini movie.
Yes, if they would have done that, I think it would have been perfect, because there's a lot of sort of fluff and kind of filler throughout there. But yeah, this is where it starts getting orgasmically good. Loved it. And
Jack,
before we leave,
I don't know what to say. That episode's so fucking good.
Yeah. I did listen to the audio commentary on this one, and I was a little disappointed by it. I was first very excited because Andy Whitfield is on this commentary, and we love Andy Whitfield. Rest in peace, Andy Whitfield. But this commentary track just didn't really say much. It's like the two, Andy Whitfield and whoever the other guy was, I forget. I don't know if it was the director of this episode. I think it was. They just didn't really talk about like nuts and bolts of making it, except for a few choice cuts that I wrote down. The opening scene of this was actually the first thing they shot. It sounded like for the whole series. So that sequence when Andy Whitfield's on the ground and Bodiatus has him by the cliff edge, apparently that was the very first thing that was shot. This kind of blew my mind too. This is a crazy bit of information. The exterior of the Ludus was shot on 2 different locations. So when you see Batiatus walk out on the balcony, that's one location, but then the reverse shot is somewhere completely different. So throughout this entire show, they would have to keep track of shot, reverse shot. And if you think about that in terms of filmmaking terms, why that's crazy is so much of this show takes place out in kind of that courtyard of the Ludus where the gladiators are fighting. But they had to like manage and schedule, well, in episode 2 we got to get all the reverse shots here, episode 3, and then later on down the road we got to do that whole same thing over again from the different perspective when we're at the different location, which just blew my mind. The first fight with Spartacus in 2 hours, and that's all the time they had. So they just sort of shot it as fast as they possibly could. The third fight with Ixion was 2 days. So that kind of tells you like the spectrum of how long it took to film some of these fight sequences. And the dream sequence before the blood was with blood was 1 take because they had 3 minutes to film it. So there's a sequence when Spartacus kind of hallucinates Sura out there, and it starts raining
Slayer,
blood and all that.
the Slayer music's playing. Raining blood on a lacerated sky.
That sequence before the blood actually comes down on them, that was 1 take, 2 minutes, is basically all they had to film it. But the actual shots of the blood landing on them was filmed way later at a different time as a pickup shot. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. As a filmmaker myself, it's interesting to see. It's like these scenes that kind of like all string together. You would never know it, but individual shots are just all over the place. I mean, Steve, you and I have done pickup shots, years after the fact before. It's crazy.
Scheduled entire weekends to just get like 4 seconds of a scene that we needed.
Yeah, so but that's basically the only information that came out of the audio commentary of this episode.
It seems like because what time? Like we only actually talked about the events for about 20 minutes, and we got basically through them all. It feels like I don't know, because we spent like 45 minutes talking about the bullshit previous episodes, like every episode. Like we went on and on. Like maybe it's because those 3 episodes are trying to cram so much in. I don't know. It feels like this episode went faster. Like things were more succinct, but it's also so much fucking better than the previous ones.
I think
maybe it's because we got a bunch of fight scenes in this one.
Well, when you tell a story well, too, it's like when you're doing something right, you don't notice it's being done at all. And so it's like, like this one's it's hitting all the marks so well that it's just like, it just goes right past, and before you realize it, the whole, like, oh shit, the episode's done. It's over already? It can't be over. It just started. Because it's doing everything so well that you don't really realize it.
Yeah, and I also think that the first 3 episodes, we had a lot to complain about. So we talked a lot more about what didn't work and why it doesn't work, and
the rest of this series will just be 5 minutes where we go, "Yep, this episode was another winner," and we're done.
It's harder to talk longer about why you like something than it is to expound upon why you didn't like something. So, but yeah, the rest of Spartacus, Blood and Sand, at least to my reconnection, is 10 out of 10 the rest of the way. So we're gonna see.
That'll be a question. Like, take Gods of the Arena out of the equation. Take the first 3 episodes out of the equation of Blood and Sand. Like, I think we're all on board with the rest of this series is amazing. At the end of this 39 episode thing that we're doing, like we should like. I want to know, like, what do you think is the worst of the remaining episodes? Because I feel like everything is a winner from here on out, but they can't all be that good, can they?
I would think that maybe in the final season, again, this is kind of spoilery, but in the final season, maybe there are some not so good, or at least episodes that don't feel quite right, if only because that whole third season at a certain point just feels really rushed. But I think we've mentioned that before. So possibly in the final season, there might be some episodes that just don't work quite right. Maybe they don't suck, but at the same time, it's like, oh, this one just didn't nail it. It didn't work.
Yeah,
maybe.
I agree with that. I think in Vengeance, there's going to be a few episodes where, like, they went too fast with that. They needed to let some plot breathe here. In particular, I'm thinking the episode where Crixus finally goes out on his own. And has his like final battle, so to speak. Maybe that's just because I love Crixus and I love that character so much. But to me, in my memory, it's just so rushed. It feels so quick, and then it's over.
I haven't watched that final season in years. I remember, so I don't. Part of me thinks that all of that happened in one episode. He said, like, he left the group and then kind of left the show.
It feels
in one
like
episode.
it. Yeah,
but
that's
I don't
my
know
recollection.
if that's true.
But we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Only like another, I don't know, 5-6 months before we get there.
What's the next episode title here? For next,
it's on a different disc. I don't know.
Hang on.
Okay.
Shadow Games.
Shadow Games. All right. Folks, thanks for listening to another episode of Jupiter's CROCK. Next week, we're going to be back with Shadow Games. I hope Alithia shows up looking fine as hell. I've missed her for quite a while, for the past couple episodes. And we'll see. Well, we'll see. Is Shadow Games just as good as The Thing in the Pit? Or does it go on a slow downward trajectory from here? We'll see.
I'm looking at what happened. No, next episode's going to be another winner.
Okay.
Just saying. But hey,
Okay.
it's the end of another Outpost Unknown poker game. So the next hand, we got to go all in blind.
Okay. Let's do
It's
this.
my hand right now. Do I go on? Okay, fuck. I'm just gonna go all in.
Next
Oh
week.
no,
you
okay.
can,
But we were talking about next hand. Like get
Alright,
with the program run. We've only been doing this for like a year.
Yeah.
And it always fucks me. So I'm a
That's
little.
why it's fun.
Yeah.
Is it? Is it?
I mean,
no.
I'm having a good time.
I want to get to the episode, the Sad Vero episode. I can't
God.
wait to hear Steve's reaction when he has to revisit that.
It hurts.
I can't
And
wait
they
for
do it
that
in such a
episode.
brilliant way too. That it makes it hurt even more the way they do it.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next sex orgy episode. Those wild sex episodes are always good. It's always good to hear Steve squirm because he doesn't like to describe what's happening. Those are.
Oh,
always
I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, they're banging. Everybody is of age, thank God. All right, come on, hand, get done. We got to go all in. Next episode, just gonna say, the shadow of death appears.
Yeah, I knew that was either the next episode or the episode after that is when that pops up.
All right, all in, going all in. Not
All
looking
in.
at my cards.
All right.
Let's see if anyone at the table is brave enough to follow our lead.
Okay.
Well, some of these guys, like the guy next to me in the weird fucking hat, he's sitting on a mountain of fat cash.
I am not looking at my cards.
Not looking at my cards.
I'm just going
Raise.
all in
All
with whatever I got here.
Yeah.
And folks, anyone out there listening to this is why you got to stick to the end of any of our poker tournaments so that you can see what exactly happens here.
The dude in the weird fuzzy hat, he's feeling the spirit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
We got lots of people. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. Here we go.
Come on, fucked
We're all
off
just gonna
hat.
lose our
Come on with your stupid fucking hat, with your train conductor hat. Get on board. Don't be afraid to be a part
Come
of the
on,
fucking
YOLO,
mythology. Do it. Do it.
No,
I
he's
want it.
not.
Oh.
Oh, Yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
Ponytail.
all right.
Ponytail's in.
All right, ponytail is in.
I don't know what. Wow.
Wow, yeah.
Everybody but 2? All but
Ace
2 are in?
3. Oh, I don't like that.
Oh boy.
Ace 10.
Oh,
I,
what do I got?
I'm okay with Ace 10.
What do I got? What do I got? Oh no.
Oh,
3,
come on.
5.
Give me aces.
Shit.
Give me aces and tens. Aces and tens.
There's a
But
5.
like, there's one 10 in the deck, unless that fucked off hat.
Oh
had it.
yeah,
If I have
give me
a 10,
aces. Give me an ace.
Oh,
I
have
can't even
3,
tell who's
4,
winning
5,
right now.
6. I don't know who's winning either. I had a pair, I think. And
Oh,
we
that
lost.
guy won a lot.
Ponytail won 52,000 chips off us. Thank you, everybody.
Ponytail now is the table leader.
Thank you, everyone. We'll
And
be
the
back
dude with
next
the
week
fucked off hat could have had it.
with Shadow Games.